Hi, welcome to another episode of our Stokvel Voice podcast. The big deal about Stokvels. What is the big deal? Yes, 49 billion rands circulating per annum within Stokvels. It is indeed a big deal. But are we making any big business deals out of this huge money that circulates within Stokvels? We have an honor today to have a conversation with my fellow dear friend Dr Ndlovu, CEO Muteo Construction. She doesn't like it when I say we belong to the same Stokvel. But I remember we met in 1992. I was actually searching for a Stokvel. I can't remember, it was called the Fair Ladies, I think. And I joined this Stokvel, most beautiful ladies. And yeah, good morning, Thandi. Can I have an honor of calling you Thandi for now?
No, call me Thandi. Forever call me Thandi.
You remember when we first met in that Stokvel?
Yeah.
Bodora and well, what happened? I mean, did that Stokvel plant any seed in you, or it was just a gay Sunday afternoon?
Well, it was the latter. Thank you for having me, Busi, and good morning to all the viewers of this podcast and the listeners. Yeah, you know, I always go back to those days and say, well, I suppose for that period, it was okay. It was a group of girls, and once a month we would go out, dress up, go to fancy restaurants, talk about the boys.
Sunday afternoon.
And maybe it was appropriate for the time, because for me personally it was maybe a way of touching base with fellow South African women. I had been in exile for almost 19 years, so it was like a catch up. But no sooner had I caught up, I realized that is this thing adding value? I didn't think so. We meet and we have lunch and we have a glass of wine and we have a drink and we talk about everything under the weather, but what is it at the end of the day? So yeah, this is right. I walked away because it wasn't adding much.
And I was tasked to call you, to phone you, for you to pay your penalties for not attending meetings. But anyway, fast forward from that time, 1998. I'll never forget when you called me and said, Busi, I would like you to join us. And at that point in time, I must say, I felt shaken, frightened. I said, this doctor, she's inviting me to join her to this investment thing with her other fellow doctors, and that was in 1998. Kemano, can you just briefly take us through it, just at that point in time?
Well, what I picked up at that time was that our mothers, remember, Stokvels started with our mothers.
Yes.
Our mothers had done it, and they would put together money end of each month, and at the end of the year, they would take a little bit of it. If there's a burial in one of the families, they would divide up the money so that they can help the bereaved. So in my headspace, I said, but we can do something more than just put money, and then at the end of the year, we divide it amongst ourselves. So when we met, it was a group of doctors and doctors' wives, and I was operating out of Orange Farms, and they were mostly operating out of Sebokeng, and we began talking about investments. And I knew that you personally had a passion for small business, and we knew that this investment is going to go towards creating a small business for ourselves, and I knew that you would add value by virtue of your experience and expertise in managing small businesses, and I put your name forward because we wanted to have 10 members, and that's how I approached you when Kemano was being formed, and we were trying to get other women with a similar kind of thinking as we did. In fact, maybe it's early in the conversation, but I must just highlight that it's very important when you meet with anybody for this long-term investment plan to meet with people who are like-minded.
Exactly. Just fast forward 20 years from 1998, you know, that Kemano. Can you and I say the Kemano case study is a story that can be replicated in South Africa in the context of Stokvels? It's something that you and I can be proud and say, We met in 1992 in that, social stokvel. 10 years down the line, Kemano, and here we are, where we are now is 2018. What can you say about that?
Yes, I think that Kemano, certainly how we put the whole stokvel together is a lesson. Number one, we got like-minded people, mostly doctors, professional women, and of course we roped in the wives of the doctors, who were the men who were our friends.
Yes.
And so therein a success model. The second thing we did was to have a very tight constitution. If you recall, our constitution was very clear that we will force each and every member to contribute. At the beginning, I think it must have been 1,000 rand in 2008. In 1998 was a lot of money.
Yes.
But we did make provision that if you don't pay, you're going to pay interest, and if you didn't pay, I think it was after 3 months, we get rid of you.
Definitely, yeah.
So there we were, starting off 10 of us. Fast forward to today, there's about only 5 of us remaining. Yes. Because we had that thing that bound us together legally in terms of the constitution, we were able to collect the money, because a lot of stokvels, especially investments, you find people can't collect the money because people will have a story, hey, wana nakula, and things like that. So once we had collected the money, you will recall, we decided we're going to invest. And we chose property. We bought a piece of land, must have been 250,000 rand at an upmarket resort, Kruger National Park, and from that 250,000 rand investment, we got a bond. We built the property.
Did we have money to service the bond? Because that's what I'm always get asked. When I talk about this Kemano investment, everybody looks at me. You guys, did you manage? How did we make it? And who was going to give us a bond? I mean, what was the one?
We had professional women, which meant we could go to the bank. Remember, we went to that bank, which eventually it was called
I think it was servicing doctors.
It was servicing doctors. I can't remember the name, but it was a specific small bank that was servicing doctors. We went to them, and of course they gave us a bond. And you remember that we went and got life insurance on each one of us. In the event that one dies, then Old Mutual, we took out an Old Mutual insurance cover, life cover. So when we lost one of our members, we knew that her portion of that liability was covered. So we didn't have to struggle. She was paid out as a member of the stokvel. And so we sit today with 5 of us, original members, still in that stokvel investment with our property fully paid.
We paid
you, and it's our ATM. When we need money,
definitely for our makeup and all that stuff.
We say, Busi, can we get some money? And we get the money. I think that we could, and for me, the lesson for the younger generation is that we could have done better ourselves. We probably could have taken a little bit more plug and invested in other properties. But you remember, we also bought one property that we sold. We sold a property. We sold a property. A townhouse in a townhouse complex.
Yes. So we're building what you call a portfolio.
We're building a
property portfolio.
We could have had better than just that one investment, but I think that we're sitting now, there we are, 5 of us, and I think the value of that property is now gravitating towards 3 million rand.
Definitely.
And fully paid out, started by women from our own pockets and utilizing the banks. Not to put our money in the bank and keep it there and earn miserable interest. So for me, that's the moral of the story. In 2018, for young people, younger women, once you've got your stokvel, it's an investment. Please put the money